I am incredibly thrilled, but honestly a little anxious about this massive news today. Securing our defensive cornerstone for the future feels amazing after our championship run, but seeing the biggest financial guarantee for a cornerback in league history definitely makes you think about our salary cap situation. The front office just rewarded our elite homegrown talent with a historic contract extension, keeping him here long term. Please stay until the end to hear everything and like and subscribe today. Devin Witherspoon just signed a 4-year contract extension with the Seattle Seahawks, locking the cornerstone cornerback into the roster through the 2031 season. This massive deal carries a total value of $132 million, with over $101 million guaranteed, which officially cements him as the highest-paid cornerback in the history of the NFL. Since the team selected him 5th overall in the 2023 NFL Draft, I have watched him transform into a defensive pillar, securing 3 consecutive Pro Bowl selections during his first 3 seasons and earning second-team All-Pro honors in 2025. And here's why that's a big deal for the organization. This move mirrors the recent strategy of rewarding homegrown talent, similar to how they previously extended wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba following the club's recent Super Bowl victory. I believe this demonstrates a clear, calculated commitment to maintaining the core group that reached the summit of the league. Team officials consistently emphasize how his tenacity and hard-hitting mentality create an infectious energy in the locker room, positioning him as a foundational piece for the future of this franchise. Many observers might wonder if this record-setting financial commitment places unnecessary strain on the salary cap moving forward, especially when you look at the other young stars needing new deals in the coming years. Does tying up this much guaranteed money into one position limit the flexibility of management to address depth on the offensive line? I keep coming back to his production on the field, which tells me the front office simply refused to let him reach the open market. While this extension secures the secondary, the conversation now shifts toward how the rest of the defensive roster will be reshaped to complement a player earning such a historic salary in the seasons ahead. Over $100 million in guaranteed money suggests a massive shift in how the organization values elite secondary play. When I look at the progression of Devin Witherspoon since he arrived as the 5th overall selection in the 2023 draft, it becomes clear that the front office viewed his development as non-negotiable. His path to this $132 million payday was paved by a consistent rise in performance, evidenced by 3 straight Pro Bowl appearances and that second-team All-Pro status secured back in 2025. This is where it gets real because the club clearly weighed his infectious, high-intensity presence against the long-term salary cap implications. My own assessment is that the team believes his specific brand of physicality acts as a catalyst for the rest of the defensive unit. Have you ever seen a defender impact a locker room culture as rapidly as he has? I suspect the decision-maker spent significant time analyzing whether to commit this level of capital. But his durability and on-field output ultimately made it an easy choice to keep him locked in through the 2031 campaign. Much like the decision to extend Jackson Smith-Njigba, this move signals a pivot toward prioritizing homegrown talent to maintain a championship-caliber core. They are essentially betting that his aggressive mentality will remain a foundational pillar for years. With Mike Macdonald holding the reins, I expect the defensive schemes will continue to lean heavily on the versatility Witherspoon provides on every single snap. It represents a massive gamble on a singular player, yet his rapid ascent into the league's highest-paid cornerback shows they are completely sold on his ceiling. Is this the right move? Looking at how he forces offenses to change their game plans, I would argue that retaining such a dynamic playmaker is worth every single penny invested. So that is the transaction itself. Now let me pull back the curtain on what this actually signifies for the Seattle roster. By securing a deal through 2031, the front office has effectively signaled that their defensive philosophy rests entirely on the shoulders of this specific individual. Why does this matter right now? Simply put, the organization is avoiding the chaos of a looming contract dispute that would have surely become a major distraction next offseason. My view is that by locking him in now, the Seahawks gain immense stability in the secondary, allowing them to focus their scouting resources elsewhere. Here's the thing nobody wants to say. Massive financial commitments of this scale often necessitate roster sacrifices elsewhere. Yet, I suspect management believes the trade-off for his specific brand of physicality remains an absolute bargain. With this contract finalized, every upcoming game takes on a sharper edge. The team now has a defensive cornerstone who effectively neutralizes top-tier receivers, which completely changes how they will approach defensive game planning against high-powered passing attacks in the division. Opposing offensive coordinators will now have to scheme around a permanent fixture whose tenacity has already been validated by 3 straight Pro Bowl appearances. This move pushes the Seahawks ahead of their rivals by solidifying a premium position with a homegrown star who understands the culture from within. Instead of hunting for high-priced veterans on the open market, they have chosen to bet on the continued trajectory of a player who finished as a second-team All-Pro just a year ago. Do you believe this level of investment is the key to winning another championship, or is it a heavy burden to carry for the next half-decade? Either way, the message from the front office is loud and clear. They are all in. Paying Devin Witherspoon such a massive sum of money guarantees his status as a permanent defensive anchor, but it certainly invites scrutiny regarding the team's long-term financial health. The primary argument for this deal is straightforward. Elite cornerbacks who can disrupt an entire offensive scheme are rare, and securing one in his prime provides a level of certainty that few franchises ever achieve. Because he has already proven himself with 3 consecutive Pro Bowl selections and a second-team All-Pro nod in 2025, the Seahawks clearly believe he is worth the price of being the highest paid at his position. The truth is, I see this investment as a direct reflection of a front office that prioritizes the stability of homegrown talent over the volatility of the free agent market. However, we must acknowledge the significant risk inherent in allocating over $100 million in guaranteed money to a single defensive back through the 2031 season. If he faces unexpected injury issues, or if his physical style leads to regression, that cap space becomes a heavy burden that limits how the roster is constructed around him. Analysts across the league have pointed out that while cornerbacks are vital, paying them as top-tier franchise cornerstones is a gamble that puts immense pressure on the rest of the defensive lineup to overperform. What I really think about this is that the organization has simply decided the fear of losing such a dynamic talent outweighs the potential for future roster flexibility issues. I suspect they have calculated that his infectious energy, which is clearly valued by the internal staff, acts as a force multiplier for younger teammates. Watching him develop since the 2023 draft confirms he is more than just a talented athlete. He is the heartbeat of this specific unit. When you weigh this record-breaking contract against the recent success of the franchise, the path forward becomes remarkably clear for Seattle. Giving Devin Witherspoon $132 million with $101 million guaranteed signals that the front office is betting everything on the defensive secondary being the primary engine of their winning identity. My read on this is straightforward. You simply do not let a 3-time Pro Bowler and former 5th overall pick leave, even if the price is an unprecedented salary for his position. And I'll be straight with you, locking a young high-impact player through the 2031 season is a bold calculation designed to stabilize the team culture established by Mike McDonald while providing total clarity for the salary cap team. This reflects an aggressive commitment to the homegrown core, mirroring the financial priority placed on Jackson Smith and Jigba earlier this year. Does this massive investment in one defender actually worry you regarding the team's ability to build depth across the offensive line? Would you personally have preferred to see the front office negotiate a lower cap hit, even at the risk of losing such a dynamic, hard-hitting leader? I am eager to hear what you think about this specific strategy in the comment section below, as your perspective helps shape the conversation we have here every single day. Keeping this franchise moving forward requires balancing these historic deals with the constant need for fresh talent. And I am watching closely to see how the roster evolves around such a high-priced cornerstone. If you enjoyed the video,